Great, welcome to this video guys. Today I'll be doing the grade 12 November 2025 math paper 1 with only the focus on question 1. Great. Okay, let's start with 1.1.1. The question is solve for x. Okay, so how do we do that with 1.1.1? We simply just say, because this is 2 marks, we're just going to say x equals minus 5 or x equals 2, and then you got your 2 marks. Right, now moving on to 1.1.2, we have this question which obviously tells us it's a quadratic equation. How do we know that? We can see with the exponents over there. And remember now, with quadratic equation, it's ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0, right? So we're going to have to now put this in this standard form. So how do we do that? So we're just going to say 5x squared. This, when you take it over the equal sign, becomes a positive 9x plus 2, which equals 0, right? Now remember, they said correct to 2 decimal places, meaning that the answer that you're going to get is going to be an irrational number. Okay, so if we have something like this, is that we just going to use this formula of ours. B squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Okay, now we're just going to plug this in our formula, and then we're just going to obviously put it in the calculator. So x minus, what is a minus b here? It's 9 plus 9 squared minus 4, sorry that's 4ac. What is the a? The a is a 5, and then the c is the 2 over there, divided by 2, which is what is our a? Our a is 5, right? Or x, remember we did it for the positive, we're going to have to do it for the negative now. X equals negative 9 minus 9 squared minus 4, 5 multiplied by 2 all over 2 times 5, right? And then we're just going to punch it in the calculator, and then it's going to give us negative 0.26, or x equals negative 1.54. Great stuff. Let's move on to 1.1.3 for also 4 marks, right? So obviously this is an inequality, but we're just going to treat it like we're solving an equation, right? So this one, we're just going to divide it by, let's just divide it by x first. Divided by x, divided by, let's just divide it by 2x, divided by 2x. So this cancels that, this cancels that, this cancels only 1, and then 8 divided by 2, it's going to give you 4x, right? It's greater than 1. But we're solving for x, so we're not done as yet. So we're just going to divide it by 4, divided by 4, and then our x is greater than 1 over 4. That's going to be our answer. Okay, so obviously that's for 4 marks. You got your 4 marks if you got that. Now let's move on to 1.1.4. Right, so this one, because of the fact that the x is an exponent, right? I would like to obviously deploy a method that I call the K method, right? So the K method, what I'm going to do is that I'm just going to say that 2 to the power of x must equal k, or let 2 to the power of x equals k. Okay, So wherever I see 2x, I'm just going to put k, right? So 2 multiplied by, obviously there's a 2x, so it's k square because of this 2 over here, right? Minus 9, wherever I see a 2 to the power of x, I put a k. K plus 4 equals 0, right? So now what I can do is that I can factorize to solve my equation. So factorize means that I'm just going to bring back the brackets. So this is going to be 2k and then k. So we can just check it out over here if it's going to give us a proper number. So 2 multiplied by 4, okay, yes. So there's going to be 4, then there's going to be 1. Negative, negative. Okay, so they just put it here. Right. So 2k minus 1 equals 0, or k minus 4 equals 0. And then what we're going to do is that we're just going to say 2k equals 1 or k equals 4. Remember, when you take it over the equal sign, the sign changes and it becomes a positive, right? So we're solving for k over here divided by 2. So k equals a half or k equals 4, right? But remember now, going back to the question, we were not solving for k, we were solving for x, right? So now, since k equals 2 to the power of x, we're going to bring 2 to the power of x equals 1 over 2. And then we're going to do it this side as well. 2 to the power of x equals 4, right? And then, because x is an exponent, we're going to maybe try and get our bases to be the same. So 2 to the power of x equals 2 to the power of negative 1. And then 2 to the power of x equals 2 to the power of 2. Then, because of the bases are the same, we can just say x equals negative 1. Or, because the bases are the same, we're just going to say x equals 2. Right, that's your 4 marks. Right, let's have a look at this one, 1.1.5. Right, looking at this one, we can just see that the question, it has a set form, right? So what we're going to do when a question has a set form is that we're just going to square it both sides to get rid of the set, right? Why do we square it? Remember, a set, especially if it's a square root, it has an invincible 2 over here, right? So when you write it as a bracket, it's the same as 1 over a half, right? So if you square this 2 and this 2, they're going to cancel. So if you square this cancels that, right? That's why we're squaring it. Okay. So let's go on to, I'm just going to rewrite the question. 1 over square root of x, and okay, like I said, we're just going to square both sides. So this cancels this part over here, and then this cancels that. So we are left with 1 over square root 1 over x plus 2, which equals 1 over x, right? So we still have a set, right? However, what I would like to do is that I would like to rearrange this thing over here so that we can also, so 1 over x equals, or let's just write it as x negative 1. This, when you take it this side, it becomes a minus 2, right? And then we're just gonna square it and then square it. So this, it cancels that. So we're left with 1 over x equals, so obviously some students, they like squaring this, but remember, if it's like this, it means that this thing multiplied by itself twice. So if it's multiplied by itself twice, it means that it's something like this. Right, so this multiplied by this gives you x minus 2, and then minus 4x minus 1 plus 4. Right, so let's just take this and write it here. X to the power of negative 2 minus 4x minus 1 plus 4. Right, so obviously this, we can also write it as x minus 1 equals x minus 2 minus 4x minus 1 plus 4. Right, so when we have to rearrange this now. So this becomes 0 equals x minus 2. This, when we bring it this side, becomes minus 5x minus 1 plus 4. Right, so let's just write this properly so that you follow what is it that I'm trying to do over here. We're cooking. Right, remember this is all for 5 marks, right? Okay, cool. Now over here, what we do is that for us to solve for x, we have to factorize. So this is how we're going to factorize it. So it's going to be x negative 1, x negative 1. This is going to be 4 and 1. They're both negative, right? X minus 1 equals 1, or x to the power of negative 1 equals 4, right? But then we're solving for x, we're not solving for x to the power of negative 1. So it becomes that x is going to be 1, or x is going to be 1 over 4. Remember, all we did here is we just said x 1 over equals 1, and then we cross multiply by x. So this multiplied by that equals 1, and then that. And then x minus 1 equals 4. 1 over x equals 4. We cross multiply. This cancels. So we're left with 1 over here, and then 4x divided by 4 divided by 4. X equals 1 over 4. Right. So that's that. Okay. And then this is going to be our last question for question 1. Right. Calculate the values of x and y if x is the sum of 2 and y. So they tell you that x is the sum of 2 and y, right? The sum of 2 and y, that means that, right? So this is going to be our equation number 1, right? And then the further on tell you that 5 times the product of x and y is 6 more than the square of x, right? Okay, let's just simplify that. So 5 times, so obviously this, the product of x and y is 6 more the square of x. Okay, so simply this is 6xy equals 6 plus x squared. Okay, right. Now what we're going to do is that wherever we see, okay, wait, before we go there, this is our equation 2. So we're going to sub our equation 1 into 2. Why are we doing this? We're doing this because of the fact that we are solving this equation simultaneously. All right. So let's take this into this thing over here. 5. Let's just 5y and then x is 2 plus y. So wherever we see x, we're just gonna substitute it with this. Equals 6 plus, there's an x again, 2 plus y squared. Okay, so let's just multiply it inside. It's going to be 10y plus 5y squared equals 6 plus, obviously this, we're just gonna 2 plus y, 2 plus y. So this is going to give us 4 plus 4y plus y squared. Okay, let's just write this. Plus 4 plus 4y plus y squared. Right. So now what we need to do is that we just gonna have to rearrange this thing over here. So 5y squared minus the y squared is going to give us 4y squared. Okay. 10y minus 4y is going to give us a positive 6y. Right. And then 6 plus 4, that's 10. When you take it over the equal sign, it becomes a minus 10. Okay, great. So obviously we can simplify this as well by dividing everything by 2. So we're just going to be left with 2y squared plus 3y minus 5, which all equals 0. Okay, great. From this point on, what we're going to do is that we are going to factorize it by bringing back the brackets. Okay, so 2y and y, and then this is going to be 5, this is going to be 1, and then this is going to be a plus, this is going to be a minus. Right, so 2y equals -5 or y equals 1. Right, so how do we solve this? We're just going to divide by 2, divide by 2 both sides, and then our y equals -5 over 2. Right, so since we got our y's, so there's our y, we're going to now go back to the equation 1, which is x equals 2 plus y. Right, and then we're going to substitute the y's over there. So x equals 2 minus 5 over 2, which is going to give us -1/2. Right. Or x equals 2 plus 1, which x then equals 3. Great. So that's it for question number 1, and that's 25 marks in the back.